Hi, this is Roopa Prasad, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Applications, MITS College. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about the topic called as key distribution, and in this key distribution, we are going to discuss about the public key distribution. And these are the contents that we are going to discuss today. So we are going to mainly discuss about the distribution of public keys. So this distribution of public keys can be done by using public announcement or publicly available directory, or by using the public key authority, or by using the public key certificates. These are the four ways how we can distribute the public keys. Okay. So actually, there are two types of, as we have already discussed, there are two types of cryptographic algorithms are there. One we call it as a symmetric key cryptographic algorithms and asymmetric key cryptography. Okay, in symmetric key and asymmetric key, in both types of cryptographic algorithms, distribution of keys plays an important roles. Okay, security mainly depends on the distribution of keys. Okay, in symmetric, we have to distribute the symmetric key, that we call it as a secret key, whereas in asymmetric key cryptography, we have to distribute the public key. Okay, and we have already discussed about the symmetric key distribution. Now we are going to discuss about the public key distribution of public keys. And there are several techniques are there in order to distribute the public keys, and those techniques are, one we call it as a public announcement, and second one is called as a publicly available directory, third one is called as public key authority, and fourth one we call it as a public key certificates. We go through one by one. Okay, so first one we call it as a public announcement of public keys. That means what we are going to, that means in a asymmetric key cryptography, what happens, every user is having a pair of keys. One we call it as a private key, and one we call it as a public key. This private key is kept secret, whereas the public key is announced to everyone. How it is going to announce means, the public key will be openly available to others. Openly available to others, that we call it as a public announcement. Okay, whenever a user is having a pair of keys, one key will be kept secret and one key will be announced to everyone, so that we call it as a public announcement. Okay, so anyone who needs to communicate can use the public key for encrypting the messages and verifying the digital signature. Okay, any participant can send his or her public key to any other participant or broadcast key to the community at large. That we call it as a public key announcement. So the participant can send his or her public key to any other participant, or he can able to broadcast. That means announcing to everyone in the network. So what happens means, this public keys can be appended to emails, news groups, forms, everywhere they can able to announce, that the public announcement can be done. So what is the main inconvenient for this approach is that anyone can forgery. We will see this one. So A is having the public key. A has calculated the public key, and that public key is announced to everyone, broadcasted to everywhere, and B is also broadcasting his public key to everyone. So there is an uncontrolled distribution for this public announcement of public keys. For that purpose, we can go for the another technique called as a publicly available directory. Here, in order to achieve the security can be achieved by maintaining a publicly available directory of public keys. Okay, so the maintenance and distribution of the public directory would be the responsible of some trusted entity or organization. Okay, so in this scheme, what happens? The authority is going to maintain a directory, and in this directory, we have a name and public key, name of the particular user and the public key of the user. That is maintained by a trusted third party. Okay, see here, this is a public key directory, and every user is going to register their public keys in the directory. And any user which wants to communicate with the other user, suppose A is going to register its public key and B is going to register its public key. So every user is having a key with this public key directory. So whenever B wants to communicate with the A, B can search the directory for the A's public key, and by getting the A's public key, he can communicate with B. Okay, by this scheme, we can able to avoid the uncontrolled key distribution. So only one way we are distributing by using the public key directory, which is not possible in the public announcement of public keys. So in public announcement of public keys, there is uncontrolled public key distribution, but but in a publicly available directory, by using the publicly available directory, we can able to control the key distribution. So how we are controlling means, the particular user is going to register their public keys in the public key directory, and any other user which wants to communicate can utilize this directory to get the public keys of the participants. Okay, and one more scheme is there, that we call it as a public key authority. This is one more scheme. Here we are getting a more security when compared to the public key directory. So why here means, we are giving some authority. The distribution can be given to the public key authority, that is a central authority which is going to maintain the public keys of all participants. Okay, so each participant knows a public key for the authority, with only the authority knowing the corresponding private key. So how it is going to happen means, so see here, we see one public key distribution scenario by using the public key authority. So check here. So this is a public key authority, and this A and B wants to communicate. So here why we are calling it as A initiator means, A wants to communicate with B. Okay, A wants to communicate with B. In order to have communication, A must know the public key of B. So how the public key can be known means, by using the public key authority. Now A is going to send a request to public key authority. A is going to send a request to public key authority to issue the public key of B. Okay, so in the first step, what is going to happen? A is going to make a request along with the timestamp. So why we are using the timestamp means, in order to avoid the replay attacks. Okay, there is one type of attack that we call it as a replay attack, that can be avoided by using the timestamp. So what A is going to do means, A is going to send a timestamped message to the public key authority containing a request for the current public key of B. So A wants to communicate with B. So A want to know the public key of B. So that request will be given by A to public key authority. Okay. Then what happens in the second step? The authority is going to respond. The authority is going to respond by sending a message. And this message is encrypted by using the private key of the authority. Private key of the authority. So this private key of the authority, by using the private key of the authority, and this message can be decrypted by using the public key of the authority, which is known to everyone, which is known to A also. Okay, so why it is encrypting with the private key means, in order to give the authentication that this message has been sent by public key authority only. For that purpose, it is encrypting by using the private key of the authority. And what the message is going to contain? The message is containing the public key of B. Public key of B and the actual request that has been sent by A along with the timestamp. Why this is again giving the message, the same request is going to append means, in order to say that this request has not been altered. In order to ensure the integrity, the same request will be again sent to A. Okay, now A is knowing the public key of authority. So by using the public key of authority, it is going to decrypt the message, and he is going to found the public key of A, and it ensures that that message has not been altered. Okay, that is a second step, and we see what happens in the third step. Now A has known the public key of B. So by using the public key of B, it is going to encrypt the identity of A. Okay, it is going to send its identity and also a noisy message. This also used as a timestamp only, and this message is encrypted by using the public key of B. Okay, this message will be sent to directly to B. Now how the message can be reopened? By using the private key only. Meanwhile, B is also sending a request to public key authority to get the public key of A. Same procedure will be followed. So B is going to send a request by using the timestamp. After receiving the request, what the public key authority is going to do means the public key authority is going to send the public key of A and also the same request message given by B, and this message is encrypted by using the private key of the authority. Now the public key is known to B, so by using the public key of the authority the message will be decrypted, and this B got to know the public key of A. So by using the public key of A, it is going to send this noise has come reached B. So by using this noisy message N1 and it also appending N2, that will be sent to B. After that, what happens to ensure? For ensuring purpose, for authentication purpose, A is again going to send the N2 which has been sent by B by encrypting by using the public key of B. Okay, that is a public key distribution scenario which is done in 5 steps. Okay, that is one type of one type of scheme, what we call it as a public key, that is called as a public key distribution. Okay, public key authority. And there is one more scheme that we call it as a public key certificates. Public key certificates. So this is also one scheme that is used to distribute the public keys. So this is an alternative approach to use a certificate that can be used by participants to exchange the keys without contacting the public key authority. Okay, so in the previous scenario, in the previous scheme, what is going to happen means whenever the two parties want to communicate, they have to communicate with the public key authority. Okay, before having for suppose A is going to communicate, A wants to communicate with B. Okay, before going to communicate, it has to communicate with the public key authority. That means whenever A wants to communicate with B, it has to interact with the public key authority for issuing the public keys, in order to avoid this one, we are going to use a public key certificate scheme. Okay, so for every individual, a certificate will be issued by the trusted third party, and this certificate contains a public key, identifier of the key owner, and a whole block signed by the trusted third party. That we call it as a public key certificate. Okay, now see here in the diagram we can able to explain. Okay, so this is a certificate authority. First, what the A is going to do means A has to get the certificate. A has to get the certificate from the authority, and the similarly B has to get the certificate from the authority. So what A is going to do means A is going to send its public key. A is going to send its public key. By verifying the identity of A, the certificate authority is going to create a certificate for A that is called as CA. Okay, so what this certificate is going to contain means certificate is going to contain the timestamp and also the identity of A and also the public key. That is a public key of A. So that means the public key. Now, initially A is sending the public key. This public key is not certified. Okay, whenever this public key is encrypted um, um, by using the private key of the authority, that is a certificate authority, then we call it as in certified. So that has been reached to C. In the similar manner, B is also going to send the public key of B. After checking the authentication, all those things, the certificate authority is going to certify. How we can say it is certified means this message, this public key of A is encrypted by using the private key of the authority. Then only it is called as in certified. Okay, so here what we can do means one time we can get the certificate. Okay, so after getting the certificate, we can use this certificate to contact anybody. Okay, now in the previous scheme, what we have discussed, if A wants to communicate with the B, A has to get the public key of B from the public key authority. It is not like that. So what happens? A is going to get its certificate and B is going to get its certificate. Okay, so by using this certificate, A can contact with anybody and B can contact with anybody. So this is a scheme of obtaining the certificates from the certificate authority. Now we will see how they are going to communicate. Okay, now see here. Okay, now A wants to communicate with B. Okay, now what A is going to do means instead of the mediator, that is a public key authority, A is directly sending its certificate to B and B is going to send its certificate to A. Okay, so before the communication process only, A is going to get the certificate and B is going to get the certificate. So in the similar manner, A can communicate with C also. So what happens? A is going to send its certificate to C and C is going to send the certificate to A. Thereby communication starts. In the certificate, it ensures the public key. It ensures the public key of A and it ensures the public key of B. Okay, this is a scheme for public key distribution, and we have discussed there are the four schemes are available. One we call it as a public announcement, and second one we call it as a publicly available directory, third one is public key authority, and fourth one is public certificate. Okay, by making use of these schemes we can have the public key distribution, and this material has been prepared by using these textbooks. Hope you understand. Even though if you have any queries, you can give your query to this form. Okay, thank you.